Welcome to the Unsworn Gamer Show. Welcome to the 40k Adjacent Show with my two amazing and famous co-hosts. That's right, Val and Falcon Watch. They're here today. Hey Val, how are you?
You know, I'm doing just fine. Really, like that's interesting that you say that. You know, you're excited to have us because I've been called things like the enemy now, traitor to the cause. I didn't realize, you know, what being part of this organization really implied or entailed.
It's a lot. It's emotional. I found the image finally. There we go. Perfect.
Okay. Wow. I mean, that's a deep cut reference.
That's a deep cut reference.
Should I just go shave my head? Get paraded through the town square? Is that what you're threatening to do?
I didn't know if that would work. Hey Pete, how you doing? How you doing, buddy?
Living the dream.
I like how Val, you've been like, can't believe you said these things about us, and Pete the whole time's been like, don't give a fuck about all of you.
He just doesn't like confrontation. His skin's crawling right now.
I don't give a shit.
But he will shit in your goddamn mouth.
I will.
And thankfully it won't be full of sugar. That's important.
None of this. Aspartame. Essentially concentrated cancer. No diabetes, though.
First of all, apparently it still stimulates an insulin response. So,
oh yeah.
And second of all, I think you got it. You got to consume. You got to consume an American amount of aspartame before it's giving you the cancer. I would think.
Yeah.
The cancer.
It's years in my future, probably.
This is months away.
Months minimum. Days. Not right now is the big key, as far as I know.
Amen to that,
right? Problem.
That's a down the line problem. Yes.
Are you both well? How are you both? Are you good? Hello, Twitch chat. What up? Big love.
Oh, there's people here. Hello.
I'm concerned. Physically concerned. But yeah, I'm okay. Yeah. I'm gonna remain mysterious.
Okay. This is such a stuttered start to a show. Hello, everyone. Val, how are you doing?
Old Vichy Val over here is doing just fine. And missed opportunity on my name, but whatever.
I know. Because I only thought about it just as we were going live.
I gave you express instructions to find a picture of Rudy Giuliani with his hair dye dripping down his face, and instead you're making some sort of allusion to us fraternizing with Nazis. And I think it's a bit too far. I think you've got too far.
I don't mean to offend. I'm so sorry.
I'm not offended.
I know. Anyway, listen,
Pete's
everyone.
Mom, though.
Oh no, she'll be okay. She'll be fine. She knows not to take this show seriously.
So does everyone else. Is the key part, I think. True. Right. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to the show. Obviously, two wonderful guests live from their internet debut on Games Workshop community site, and also, just stellar gentlemen who I defend all the way up until last week. So,
just so you know, Rob, those in the know call it Warcom.
Do they?
Warcom.
So, this is kind of the elephant in the room. I was there when Warcom was invented. It was like, what?
Yeah, we've heard, Rob.
Here we go. What? Go on.
What? 3, 2, 1.
Minutes.
Some people say cucumbers taste better pickled.
What?
They're not.
Oh.
Even a plain cucumber I like with some vinegar and like a tiny amount of salt.
Yeah, just a little salt, maybe a little pat.
Yeah.
Have you ever actually had a pickled cucumber? You had one?
A pickled cucumber?
Yeah.
We've just gone ahead and shortened that right down to pickle. Like we don't even have to say pickled cucumber anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, we generally only like call something pickled if it's not a cucumber because we just understand The cucumber was the beginning, much like you were the beginning of Warhammer Community.
No, I wasn't. I was never. I never got.
Synonymous, one and the same.
You are the pickle of Warhammer Community. You are the cucumber.
God, I don't want to be the pickle of Warcom.
Could I have some pickled cucumber? Yes, gherkins. Yes, the tiny little one. Gherkins.
Gherkins.
Mm. I do like a giant pickle, like sour as can be. Mm.
Yeah, the ones that like get in your eye when you crunch into it. Mm. You know, actually, here I'm going to segue us back to some 40K adjacency. I used to take something called the RT to a place called Scarborough Town Center in Toronto, far east end. The RT is like a monorail sold by Lionel Hutz to the city of Toronto. And when you're riding in it, it's like the space shuttle on re-entry. It is the loudest, ricketiest thing. And it goes through, like, I want to say a tannery. So it just smells like farts. And then you get to just this massive pickle factory as well. So there will always be these like big bushels of overflowing cucumber baskets. And then you'd get to Scarborough Town Center and you'd go to the Games Workshop. And that's how I associate Games Workshop always with pickles and farts.
Mm-hmm.
that's so provincial. Like I'm like.
And Toronto has the nickname Hogtown because we once had the largest slaughterhouse in the Commonwealth. And it was located just a block or two from my very door, and so we used to kill more pigs than anywhere else in the entire Commonwealth. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
There you go. You learn Hogtown, everybody.
Did not know that. I love learning that. Truthfully, I don't really have anything to tell you about Nottingham. It's built on caves. That's the only thing I can really tell you that's of note. We've got a load of caves. Really into bow crime.
It's legal to kill a Scotsman with a bow there, isn't it? Still, like you can just do that.
A crossbow in the back of a church. You can crossbow a Welshman in the back of a church if he tries to cross the wall. Is a true law,
but only on specific days. I thought like
Sundays. Yeah.
Like it's super good that day.
Oh, I just camp out in churches with a crossbow. Just waiting.
Jesus wrote it. It's in Mark chapter 7. The Welsh. Fuck them. That's what it says.
Right, okay, listen. I want to ask how you both have been, but specifically, we can't ignore...
Tom Layton's wondering if he's been on the ETC team long enough that it counts for him. Like, that's the whole thing.
He wants Jesus to fuck him. Is that what you mean?
The crossbow part, but I mean... Well, anyway, continue. So what's going on? What
Nothing. I mean, you guys have done a big famous article. We gotta ask about it.
Did we? There's like barely registered.
The Twitch chat. What do you mean it barely registered?
I feel like I don't know. I was hoping for more buzz. We didn't get it. I mean, like the first Metawatch is a meme, and what are we? We're a footnote. It's bullshit.
Yeah, we didn't get it as big. We didn't get player cards. I think was the big problem.
I think we just didn't. I had a minor gaffe. We had a minor gaffe, but we didn't have like an epic gaffe, and that sucks because it would have been nice.
Well, would you think it's because your article was actually competent and full of relevant information, and the other one was just a pile of shit? Like, if you thought that, like, it doesn't really.
It's a bit
harsh. I think it's okay. It's kind of what it was.
Okay. I mean,
we talked about it on the last podcast we were on. I think that's basically what I said was that the intent of the first article was great, but like the content was awful. It was just garbage and nonsense talk for the most part. But the idea of interviewing somebody in the community that was a competitive Warhammer player was super cool because we'd never really seen that from Warcom. And then we actually had, an article with substance other than saying that Marines are underrepresented. And that seemed to be like a real sticking point for...
I feel like 95% of the reading audience just like threw their computer at the wall in anger at that point and didn't read anything else. I think that was it. It was just smash their like Warcom only computer or like because
they purchased specifically for it.
They just have to be ready to whip it against the wall and defecate on it at any time, because they get so upset. Because people take this seriously, Rob. I don't know if you realize this. I think I let myself forget because we're so tongue in cheek and ironic on this show all the time. Mm-hmm. I forgot that Warhammer's for real, man. It is serious business. You can't mess around with people's Warhammer.
It's true. It's true. You can't. Like, takes a particular sort of sense of humor that gravitates towards this sort of like ideology that we do on the show, which is obviously why numbers are always so low. The ability to laugh at yourself and others, it seems, is a fairly rare. It's a rarer trait. So Twitch chat, you're wonderful. Thank you for being here. I mean, who could be better than you guys, podcasters? I mean,
we have to say that kind of stuff.
We're the 59 people involved in Warhammer that have a sense of irony. I just can't believe it. I just can't believe it. Anyway, so yeah, implying, first of all, I'm not. I think what did Pete say? Pete said it's the best kind of correct, technically correct, in stating that Space Marines are hilariously actually underrepresented in the meta, just based on how many friggin' Space Marine books we have, and how many people actually show up to tournaments with Space Marines, which to me was an interesting thing to say and throw out there, because maybe that suggests something. Maybe that says that we have maybe too many Space Marine books. But instead it was taken as literal, which is there's not enough Space Marines. It was actually an inversion of that sentiment, but, too deep on the subtext there, Val.
If you read it in your tone, which is funny, I mean, the whole thing's excellent. Like, I loved reading about the T-Wit bit. I'm not gonna be shy about it. I think it's excellent. I think it was great that all that information went out there into the world as well. Like, I feel like if anyone, just to give you guys your credit, because I am also going to take the piss as much as possible, is that, you guys deserve loads of credit for everything you've done for the community over the past few years, and then everything that has come of that. And so the fact that information is now on Warcom, I think, by the way, a lot of people asking
we're Hongam. Hongam.
We're Hongam. Welcome to Hongam.
Thongam.
I think it's cool. It's cool. I do feel like you maybe lost some people at the Space Marine bit, but the rest of
it was like two paragraphs in. So awesome.
That's the issue.
Pete,
right?
Any thoughts?
No, I've already said my thoughts. I have none
left. It was a
left.
different show, Pete.
None left.
Okay,
have you already talked about this on another show? That's cool. Which one?
It's not. It hasn't even been broadcast yet, and it was 2 days ago.
Oh.
What? Do I have more thoughts about the article other than what I said earlier, which was that I thought it was cool?
Yeah.
I'm really happy. Mm-hmm. That's really all I got.
That's good.
Dudes, I woke up at 4:30 in the morning for this. Give me a break.
Things I enjoy about this. Pete, how do you feel about the article, representing your stat information being the first competent stat information to be put out by Games Workshop ever for a game that you love? It was cool. How do you feel about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion? I got a lot to say.
It was fantastic. I got emotional. I did. Anyway, sorry.
Peter did have a very nice post about his feelings on Facebook and was forthcoming with them, and it's very nice. So
okay,
yes, he was touched, and he does appreciate this. I think probably.
So yes, so if you want my full in-depth, back when I started doing statistics, I was a part of the reason why I did it was I wanted to give back to a community that meant a lot to me because of things that have happened in my life. And I wanted it to be more than what it was, because I was shocked that it wasn't. The fact that we were such a competitive group that cared about numbers, but didn't apparently care about actual numbers. So when I did all this, I mean, I think the first time I ever talked to Val, I told him that, I really want to make Warhammer, something that can be talked about in this way. So for 2.5 years later, for the company that makes this game to post an article pseudo by me, but with the stuff that I've been doing, it felt like a big achievement. And I'm very hopeful that it just gets bigger and better, because there's people doing what I was by myself 2.5 years ago, and now there's all sorts of people doing just crazy stuff with statistics, getting deeper and deeper, and it's only going to get better. The more popular the competitive side of this game gets, and the fact that GW is embracing it now, at least to some degree, is super exciting to me. It means a lot.
There you go. Val, what about you?
I think you tried to reference T-Whip. First of all,
I did reference it. No try.
The genesis of the article was, "Hey Pete, I made some work for us. Could you whip up a few fire up a couple paragraphs about armies that are good? Because I don't know anything about Warhammer." And then I wrote the fluffy first half, and that's how it was. And I massaged what Peter said for about 12 hours by deleting various words and adding different ones. But T-Whip, I think, is awesome. Like, it's hilarious that is now the dumb advanced stat that I don't know, was brought up. Like, it's the fanciest stat he's got in his bag, and now it's it's canon. T-Whip.
Canon. T-Whip.
The dumb acronym. I remember we fucking brainstorming the dumb acronym for T-Whip. That's beautiful.
Yep.
It's lovely. I think it's great. I think it's excellent. Honestly, it's good that it's being embraced, and it's good that actual good articles are coming out, as opposed to just like dross, like, because the Age of Sigmar one was dross as well. Like, it was like super limited data. Like, it included like it was just by some guy who like collected some tournament results. And you're like, cool. You haven't been doing this for like 2 years. You got like no concept of like what is coming out.
I'm gonna cut you off here, Rob, because this is how we wound up writing the Metawatch article. I saw you losing your goddamn mind about the AOS thing, and
I did one tweet.
I'm pretty sure that's what led to you giving up social media directly.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I saw that, and then so what I did was I reached out to someone who I knew might be involved in these things, Mr. Mike Brandt, and I said, we watch the meta all the time. If you need any help, we'd love to give you a hand with something. Loved what you did with the AOS article. I love the direction you're going in. and they said, "Oh, thanks. Yeah, sure. Well, we talk about it. Thanks for the offer." And that's how it works. Being nice and congenial.
I wouldn't want to write. I wouldn't want so very much like the 40k competitive 40k has been embraced by Games Workshop much more than competitive Age of Sigmar, and competitive Age of Sigmar stats. Like, you guys worked like so closely with obviously with the guys at ITC, who at the time were like basically in charge of competitive 40k outside of like WTC stuff, which like literally no one heard fucking anything about ever, right? Unless you were involved in that ecosystem. So like you guys worked directly with that, so the ability to be like credited and be a part of that system was excellent, and like you got embraced by the community much more than we got embraced by like echelons of the community, and that was just it was fucking shit. So we've been in like a war for like 2 years. We've had like playtesters and fucking all sorts of like paid and bought for men just being like, actually, no, those stats are wrong. And I'm like, the stats aren't fucking wrong. They're the stats. They're like, well, maybe you could beat it. And I'm like, the stats say you can't. And so like, it just, all the apologists and all those other people fuck me off. But your community and your stats haven't really, I know you've gone through some troubling times getting embraced, but from like more organizational levels, like Reese and Frankie and all those other guys, Pablo, like you've had a lot of like, thanks for this. This is really cool. Like, this is great. Oh, I feel that's correct. I think that's right.
Yeah. And I don't even consider most of it troubling times. Like, the worst is just ignorance and whatever. It blows over. A couple of hate emails about being a coward for not using certain rules, and for stealing the idea behind formulas that are just percentages. Like, not even like T-Whip or first round loss, but like, you stole how to create win percentage. I got that once. That was cool. I was like, oh, yeah, you're right, dude. You got me. You got me. Someone sent me your secret, mathematical equation dividing wins and draws over total games played. You got me. No one would have thought it before in history. But like,
the internet's full of cranks. Like us, for example. We're a bunch of cranks. Look at us.
We really are.
Well, talking about cranks,
Before we get onto that, Craig,
I
want to say one thing because I want to talk about the fact that there was zero editorial interference whatsoever from the big evil corporation that you like to call an evil corporation. They were the working with the monolith was just fine. They were wonderful people, very supportive, very kind. Supported that article with a ton of graphics, and there was a cartoon dude, which means that they actually put resources into it.
It was Todd Button.
Yeah, it was a top shelf effort, and also very wanted to say, because I think after the Nanavati thing, they just assumed that like the marketing department was writing the article, and that that's that. I assume that the Nick Nanavati article was the way it was because people self-censor and stuff like that, and even like my writing style and Pete's writing style is definitely different with that audience in mind. So I don't know, just don't be so damn harsh.
Yep, I wrote like I wrote to a baby.
Yeah.
A Warhammer baby. When I wrote, there was a lot of like fluff and things that I normally just don't say, right? But I was like, these people like these kind of words, just like my daughter. I will use them.
But that's like journalism, right? Like journalism is written to a very low level of comprehension on purpose, so that way you can communicate clearly.
Isn't it? Isn't poor journalism doing that?
No, I think like the like you're trained in journalism school to use very clear and simplified language. Hemingway school, and that way you're able to communicate your ideas more clearly to a wider audience.
Clearly.
Also, lots of exclamation points. Very important. Warhammer's great.
Okay, well, I think it was cool that it got done. It was interesting to read, very much like all the other stats articles that have been published recently. I've been enjoying, and ultimately, if money goes into that system and we get better stuff, that's great, is it not? I think. Anyway, thanks to Captain Andrew for subscribing. 13th anniversary. Keep up the content. Oh, lovely. But also big news of the weekend. Other big news is that there's some new stuff coming out, which is fun.
Yeah.
Have you seen that stuff? Like specifically, there's a cool new campaign book coming out. Two campaign books. One that is definitely narrative because it's Crusade book, and then one that is match play. I think.
Looks like
though.
Val, don't.
Val.
Pete,
what are your thoughts?
Clinging
my thoughts. My thoughts. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I hope not. That's really. I don't want it. Screw that. I don't want it. Like I've talked with other people about this a lot. I hope not. I really hope that they're not doing this again. Like, just give me a break. That's it. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna buy it. If it is, I'm gonna buy it because I'm a glutton for punishment. But I don't want. I don't want this. Stop, GW. Stop. But I'm gonna buy it.
Did you hear that, Warcom?
That's it. That's all.
No, you know what they heard? They heard. I'm gonna buy it. That's what they heard. And we're suckers, guys. Like, we're suckers. Okay? Because we still buy the damn stuff. And here's what I'm saying. This is my tinfoil hat theory. I'm thinking, and I'm probably completely wrong here, but I know the GT pack excludes all formations. No, special detachments. That's the word it uses.
Detachments. Yes.
All specialist detachments are excluded from the GT pack. So my tinfoil hat theory is, if you notice, all of the factions included in this new campaign book, with the exception of AdMech, were not included in Vigilus, so they've never gotten any specialist detachments. Ipso facto, I think that this book will contain specialist detachments that will not be able to be used in tournament play, but will be legal in match play in general.
Okay.
So here's my thought on that. Anyone listened to Val saying that would have been like, man, that would have been a great idea. That's what they're saying. Man, that would have been, write that down for next time. That's That's legitimately what's happening right this minute. If anybody important watches this show,
all of them.
All of them do.
They have an intern who just watches every week. It's horrific for him since we started doing the stream streak. His workload is.
So they've written that down. They were like, Jesus, why didn't we? Oh no.
It looks like that's like because I thought the GT pack called out Vigilus, and then I got called out hard for being dumb, and I was like, good point. It doesn't say Vigilus; it says Specialist Attachment. So it's like future proofing the future, if you will. So maybe there's something there.
Yeah,
right.
I think they did mention that it's match play stuff, though, didn't they? New rules.
Match play is not tournament play. Tournament play is its own little niche now.
Okay.
Who knows?
See here.
This is like it's wishful thinking. It's
what about that book they released just for terrain? That's tournament play, right?
I don't know. I didn't get that book because I'm not a sucker. Did anyone buy that book? I kind of want to read it.
The guys at Warzone Lander bought it.
1 second. You guys keep going.
We will. I would like to hear more about it.
I actually reached out to Kelly yesterday. So Kelly is the TO of Warzone Atlanta. And I said to him that, like, I've been sort of disparaging your efforts. And I realized I should probably reach out to you and just talk to you about it. Because I wanted to actually, like, discuss what some of the choices were. And what his first response was, and then I had to go deal with a beautiful baby boy. But his first response was essentially like, I'm glad that if there was any complaints about the event that there was too much terrain. And I was like, touche, sir. So
okay,
we'll see. I would also say, like, just on that point, that the player place terrain thing is a very American Midwest Northeast thing. Like it is a thing. And I think that stems from the way it used to be done many years ago at official Warhammer Grand tournaments. I assume were player placed because Adepticon was always player placed. And right. Adepticon, for those who don't know, is the granddaddy independent Warhammer event in the States, probably in the world. And a lot of the TOs sort of grew up going to that convention, and they would leave that convention and say, and this is true for Reese, for Kelly, for probably to an extent even Mike Brandt when he was working on Nova, they wanted to create something similar where they lived. And so Adepticon really super influenced those guys. And so you see some of those old-timey elements, which is why, for example, I think for a long time, Kelly's style of mission writing was very much Eternal War, but sort of lawyered up a lot. So like he would add a lot of language to them, but it'd be very, very, very much inspired by the style of the old school Eternal War missions. Even ITC missions used to be like 7th edition ITC missions were like an Eternal War element with like a Maelstrom element, like a random generated mission, but they use dice and specific objectives rather than having, cards that you drew. So like, anyway, there was definitely like a strong Adepticon influence. And this is all very long-winded way to say that the player place terrain thing is a long-standing GW style that has been mimicked by TOs in North America and hopefully will die a quick and quiet death.
And also Games Workshop releasing campaign books with match play rules in is a long and tested tradition for Games Workshop.
It sure is. Yeah, that's another thing that got pointed out to me. Like, because I tried to, I was having some serious selective memory in the ITC, because I tried to spark this conversation to maybe even suggest that like maybe we just don't use these in tournament play. But someone pointed out that I was like, yeah, in 7th edition we didn't really use the campaign books, and then immediately someone jumped on me and was like, yeah, we did, you dumbass. And I was like, oh yeah, I own 5 orc planes so that I could run Sky Admiral Wingnuts' armada. So yeah, I was selectively remembering. They've always been messing with their games with weird campaign releases.
Yeah. Hey, a big shout out to Fantastic Guy in the chat, recognizing our co-host today, Charles de Gaulle.
Yeah.
FIFA looking back. Tom on the Sunday show was very, very perturbed by this. Me personally, I'm also perturbed generally by it. It's a lot more information coming out, and you kind of think, well, maybe do a full good job on the actual codexes that are coming out. I don't think they've dropped any clangers, I'd just like to point out. I don't think they've done any full clangers, but quality control is, as ever, as good as Games Workshop quality control, so pretty low, in my opinion.
I think Pete had a good take on this on the show we did with Art of War Down Under on the timing stuff. Pete?
What? The fact that they're releasing like a campaign book with updates to 2 factions that are getting codexes within 30 days of said campaign book?
But that maybe the campaign book is on time and the other ones are late because of, global plague.
I mean, yeah, sure, maybe.
I was trying to say you have to maybe make a positive point there, Pete, but I guess you didn't take the bait.
But it's still campaign book 1. Like, there's still going to be more of these as well as codexes, and the codex space is like pretty solid. I don't know, I don't think there's loads to unpack generally in that whole setup. I just think it's a bit like, meh, that's a bit rubbish. Like, why not just include it? Very much like the rollout of 9th. It's like the rule book, another book, another book, another book, and you're like, could you not have like just done this all at the same time? And I get it.
Or charge me $20 a month. Charge me $20 a month, Games Workshop. Let me just give you money. I'll just leave it on the door for you. I'll leave it on the stoop. Charge me $20 a month. And give me all the rules. You're gonna make. How much is that? That's a lot of money. That's $240 a year. Take my $240. Give me everything. Rather than theoretically having to spend what, like $1,000? How much? I wonder what a complete 8th edition rule set would cost if you were to add up all of the books.
So far, I thought this yesterday. I was like, what is the current, like, if you were into 40k, like right now, and you started at the start of 9th and you bought every book, you have spent a lot of money.
Like, what is already a lot of money? Like, what are we at, I wonder? It's probably like a legitimate lot of money.
Yes.
And I think, and again, hopefully if the intern hasn't, if they haven't short-circuited yet, I think they really need to realize that what they're doing when they price things like this is they're driving people to piracy. And they think maybe that, like, oh, we're just not going to release this digitally and then that can't be stolen. It's like, yeah, so it's been bootleg, dudes. Like, it's the PDFs are out there. The websites and Battlescribe are out there. They're just robbing themselves of money because people get turned off and they don't buy your legitimate product because they can't buy it in a fair way, in a way that, like, these things are priced now. And I think it's super dumb and frustrating that they don't understand. Like, these are lessons learned when Metallica sued Napster in like 1999, and like we're still like dealing with it, and it's really dumb. Sorry.
That's fair. It's fair. Pete, you got anything else to unpack about it?
Nope.
Yeah, same. I think it's whatever. Like, I don't know. It didn't hit me at all. Like, Tom was genuinely annoyed. I was like, what's weird for me is I'm excited about the Death Guard Codex, but now I'm like, okay, so I get the Death Guard Codex, and already there's like a lot of lag. Now, I want the Death Guard Codex. Okay, sweet. And I'm going to wait 4 weeks to see if the janky stuff that's in there is janky or not janky. So I wait 4 more weeks to make sure that I've got, like, a good grip of what the codex is so I can build my army or paint my army, whatever I would play with. But then also there's the campaign book, and I'm like, okay, so I'll need that at the same time, and the 4-week FAQ from whenever that comes out at the same time. Now I've got my army. I understand it. I know what I'm playing with. I'm good. Whereas now, let's say Space Wolves come out, which is cool. Like, is there a campaign book in 2 months with Space Wolf upgrade stuff that, like, makes my Space Wolf build not, like... I feel like there should be some amount of time where I can build my thing, and like that's the way the thing works. Whether or not it's brilliant or like rubbish, like there should be like a period of time where there's some stability to the structure of my army a bit. I know that's terrible for their sales, but it's like there's a level of customer experience that surely you want them to achieve, right? Because it's different to a computer game. You can change up stuff in a computer game. You just pick the other character.
Yeah.
Like I know there's time put in and all sorts of other stuff. But, like, with this, it's phenomenal amounts of time just to build and put... Like, I was talking to someone the other day, putting an army on the tabletop is a genuine fucking achievement.
Sure.
Yeah, people struggle to even get that far.
That's super insane. How put you. And by the way, you're putting it on a table that you've fucking built. Like, it's 6x4 for starters. So like, you probably had to go to Home Depot and cut a piece of wood to even be able to like, like, there's nothing about this game that's easy. What I would also, sorry, go, Pete. Did you have something to say?
No, continue.
No. I think something also to like just put out there, I think, rather than just because I'm just fully primed to moan about the fact that we went backwards as far as the rule set is concerned and how rules are given to us or sold to us. But like, consider if you divorced rules from print, if you just like took it away from print and rules were just owned by the studio and whatever the app becomes, hopefully a competent app. But even in the app in its current form, I would take it over having to buy a bunch of friggin' books. Anyway, then you would have essentially you could launch an edition with updates to every single faction, right? And then as you go, you could do like they do in many other games. You could do waves of releases rather than faction specific releases. Like they've been very much, I think, on a cycle where they, I don't know, like growing up, it was always like one book at a time. And now that they have this sort of frenetic release pace, they still do one book at a time, but they're launching it all. They're doing 3 books at a time instead of like just doing everything and then waves of new stuff. You know what I mean? Like they could, like Magic, for example, and I don't really know Magic, but I remember Magic being a core set and then supplements to that core set as the sort of life of that edition or that core set went on, so that it was all part of sort of a plan. And then as time goes, like old stuff drops off and new stuff comes in, and you get a nice little.
But the delivery system in Magic, for example, in Magic is via the cards. Like you are delivered the rules via the system, like, and the core mechanics of the rules are already free. Like, whereas in this situation, like someone's in the chat has put, it's 390 Australian dollars with books to start an AdMech or any non-new code faction in Australia. Like
in Australia, this is a game for like the aristocracy. Like this is not for someone who's like wrangling dingoes. There's
good money in that.
There's good money, really good money, especially with your top off. If you stream wrangling dingoes, which is something I'm thinking of doing, I can get like dozens of viewers.
I'm pretty sure the Normal Blokes podcast includes like 2 doctors and an engineer. So that that's anyway. Continue.
It's normal by Australian standards.
Right.
I think a big problem I have with the way we currently do things is that it's almost impossible to play test the game properly and balance it by releasing 2 codexes a month, even, which I think is actually relatively fast, because oftentimes we're going to see things that are super strong and then they don't want to nerf them because they've play tested against something that they think is equally strong, and it's going to cause issues in the future. And that's big. You see it in Magic the Gathering as well, where they'll release cards that are intentionally pushed with an expectation that there's going to be a quote-unquote silver bullet card or a set of silver bullet cards in a future set. But the card is so pushed that it just breaks the game and they have to ban it. And then when these silver bullet cards come out, they don't have any impact. And I think given what you're saying about kind of doing these wave pushes would just be better overall for that reason. Because then we get to see the full kind of why the playtesters thought certain things were okay. And maybe they didn't. I know they've openly said like GW doesn't listen to everything they say. But like right now with Space Marines, there was an FAQ where they touched nothing. And the little bit of I'm getting from anybody is that it's because there's stuff coming in the future that's equally powerful. And so I don't know. I think a waved way of doing things would just be better. If we looked at how like War Machine Hordes used to do things when they released an expansion kit, it's just like one book that has new rules for everybody, essentially. And that way, like whenever anybody gets anything new, everybody gets something new. And it's an easier way to balance out the game when you do it that way.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think, like to Rob's point, it allows you to like be ready for those, like or react to those waves, rather than like a lot of times, like my army will change because of what you just said, Pete. Like there's another adjacent release that like right now I feel like I could maybe run a Stampa, or last summer I felt like there was a little moment in time where the Town Arc could maybe do something, and like not just lose every single game. And there was. And then that moment passed when something came out. Oh yeah, it's called Space Marines. Space Marines came out, and the town art could no longer be on a table without dying immediately. So like, if you eliminated that, then you'd have much more stable metas. And I think I think the problem here is a corporate governance structure thing, because what I think it feels like to me, and Rob maybe has better insight. I don't actually know how GW is set up. But it feels like to me that essentially the studio, the guys who write rules, get assigned stuff from other departments. So like when you look at like that really wacky competitive terrain book, like sorry, the competitive bring your own terrain rules pack, that stunk to me like the guys who were boxing all of that new fancy terrain up saying, we need something to sell this. And they gave a brief to some poor guy in the studio, like, make a game to sell this. And
it's not that way. Those guys are kings of the mountain. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, the studio. The only people who are, if anything, have any direct correlation on the studio is the miniatures designers. Because as we know, miniatures get made, they get pushed into Books and Box, which is the studio you're talking about, which encompasses a bunch of people. It encompasses army painters. It encompasses art, like as in like graphic artists who do all the artwork. Like it's quite a large studio.
So go on. So then to rephrase that, it's still then it's really being driven by what the miniature studio is creating. So like
to a degree, but however, scenery isn't done by the miniatures guys. Separate department.
Really?
Scenery. Yeah. So they're loose cannons.
Loose cannon.
Yeah. It's like no, honestly, as described by loose cannon. So I got made to. I didn't get made to because I managed to like fucking palm it off one day. So the guy that's in charge, so the department who does all of the hobby stuff. So specifically, lead product paint. Yeah, they are in charge and produce paint. So like each department sells their product to each other department via wooden dollars. So they go, we've made this paint. They sell it to one of the three main sales channels, which is trade, web, and or stores. Yeah, so those are your three main trade channels. So effectively we're like, we've made some new paint, and then trade are like, we'll buy this much off you, web are like, we'll buy this much off you, etc. Yeah, so that's how it works. Yeah, and then like, cool. So then the P&L sheet for the guys in hobby, I can't remember what the fuck it's called now, that department, they're like, sweet, we made loads of cash. Obviously we're up from last year, we're the kings of the world. We make terrain, endless spells and that sort of stuff. But because they can't stop fucking making money, that department, because all they do is make paint and everyone wants to fucking buy paint, yeah, like they then get to make all sorts of absolutely fucking insane products which no one wants, yeah, but they just does that make sense? Because they're already like, their P&L is like green as shit, and they're like, what if we make fucking like, what if we just make asshole fillers and then like paint handles, yeah, and then they're like, get it done, son. I'm just wrapping my brain around the retail chain you just described, in which Games Workshop is a distributor to itself. Yeah, internal. Well, it's an old company run by idiots. Like, so, like, what do you want? I guess just backing up. I guess what I was trying to make a point of is it just feels like the tail is wagging the dog with the game and the miniatures and the stuff. That's it. So like, I think if we could find a way to divorce the game from miniature releases, for example, which sounds crazy, but like, just release those rules as they come. Don't wait to update all of a faction's rules when the 3 new models they get is released. You know what I mean? And they only do that because you have to release a book at the same time. If they could digitally update that, they wouldn't need to wait. Listen, I'm with you, absolutely. I'd just like to tell you what video they tried to get me to make. I don't know if you know the Games Workshop carry cases. You know the Games Workshop carry cases, which are sharp, square boxes. Yeah, they look like gun cases, and people get friggin' tasered for them in America all the time. Go ahead. Do you remember, Hobby Products is the department, by the way. Big shout out to my lads in Hobby Products. By the way, the guys that designed the terrain, fucking great lads. Big fan. I don't know if you remember the carry case that you could also buy to turn the case into a backpack, the strap-on edition. Do you remember that product that they released? I have a friend who owns it. Is that friend you? Nope.
No, I've considered the battle foam version of the same thing, but continue.
Okay, but to let everyone else know at home what it is, it's a square box which then you strap some straps to. These straps, I think, cost like 30 quid or something insane. Yeah, you strap some straps to, and then you wear it like a backpack. Only if you were to ever fall, even once, you would sever your spine in half. Like, it could not be comfortable. It's incredibly disgusting looking. It's an awful product. And they're like, Rob, we sat on fucking loads of these. We've got to try and sell them. And I'm like, why did they make them? And they're like...
Rob, though, you're missing. I think you missed out on, like, it was just maybe a product ahead of its time, because my first thought is it's completely friggin' conspicuous. And people are going to know I'm a gigantic nerd when I'm on my way to play my Warhammer, as opposed to flying under the radar. Now, they would just think I'm an Uber Eats delivery driver, and I can just go wherever I want with my Warhammer toys, and no one would know the difference.
But the Uber Eats one are more functional because they got pockets. So I was like, yeah, I get that it's a backpack with the case, but like, where are people then going to put dice and a tape measure? There's no other additional compartments. It's an insane product that's already better than, like, there's already loads of products out there. Anyway, so that's hobby products, and also the guys in charge of rules are in charge of everything basically. So that's the way it works. In case you're under any illusions.
The distribution thing is still blowing my mind, because like right now there's a big thing where a lot of independent retailers are not getting like a lot of product, because I think, you know, Games Workshop has been overwhelmed by demand, and I think their supply chain has been interrupted severely by COVID. So there's a lot of understandable reasons why they don't have as much product to sell as they once would. But so, like, I just also assume that they would be prioritizing their web and their retail channels over independent retailers because better margin and all that kind of stuff. But is it possible that that's not the case? That like, well, that if an independent retailer is getting two of a recent release, like a hot release of, like, they get 2 copies of the Outriders or whatever. Is it possible that like GW retail chain stores are also shortchanged that badly?
Yeah, but like then you have to have like internal conversations, because there's like each chain like connects to like an exec, and then it's a whole thing. But like, you know, trade, you don't fuck with trade though. Let me tell you, don't fuck with trade. Allegedly, they look like members of Wolf of Wall Street that's been doing cocaine, eating sushi all day.
Oh sure.
Big shout out to my mates in trade, Paul, a fucking legend. Anyway, we lost Pete way too long ago. Sorry, Pete.
No,
sorry,
I'm
Pete.
listening. I'm listening. I'm listening to you guys and listening to my daughter. It was 5:30 in the morning. She decided to wake up, so I told her to go back to bed, and she's just kind of humming to herself and yelling my name.
Is it Baby Shark time?
Trigger warning. Come on.
Are you guys excited about anything that you saw at the weekend in the release, like the Drukhari book? No.
I was just heartbroken it wasn't orcs, and that is a pure fanboy response. Pete, anything?
I mean, I was surprised at Drukhari a little bit. I was kind of expecting to see orcs. I know orcs are first quarter next year, so seeing Drukhari instead was a little shocker. But you know what? They need some love in 9th edition. They're not doing super hot. So I'm cool with it. The fact that the Death Guard side was basically nothing in something called Decadence and Decay was kind of probably the biggest like question mark for me. But that's it.
Yeah, it was weird because they've said that they're bringing out a Death Guard book, and we're all like, cool. Yeah. So this it was the most set in stone thing. Everyone was like, cool, it's the Death Guard book which you've talked about. Can't wait to hear some stuff. And then they're like, no, campaign book. Fucking flip the script, baby. And you're like, wow. But it's script. Also, important point. It's like, actually, some little internal stuff. I want to say thank you to Co-Onus for subscribing. Big love to you. It's a big deal. Let me give you a little quick insight from Rob about what is a big deal and what isn't a big deal to Games Workshop. If they make a narrative trailer, it's a big deal. They have sat down. I thought it was
Microsite. Microsite.
Microsite's a really big deal. Like, but a narrative trailer, big deal. Like, if they're like just banging out a codex, like, you didn't get anything for Deathwatch, did you? You didn't get anything for Space Wolves. Like, it's just like, it's some fucking whatever. Don't give a shit. Like, they literally don't care. But when they care, that really gives you some example of like what's going on. And these campaign books are going to be a big deal, or they at least think that they're going to be a big deal and want them to be a big deal. So that's quite interesting that like they've put so much oomph into it. Because I think someone pointed out, and I thought it was a really good point, that because the Death Guard are attacking the Forge World of Metallica, and they were like, they're just going to blow that up because they cannot IP protect the name Metallica. And I was like, fuck yeah, that is why they're doing it.
Oh.
I was like, that makes loads of sense. So I don't know if you guys agree with that, but I thought that made a ton of sense to me. They're going to use narrative to retcon their IP. Brilliant.
I mean, they've been doing it actively. I don't know how. Again, who knows? I don't know how much that. It feels like that factors less into their decision making than maybe it did once upon a time. But like that's clearly what Primaris Marines are all about. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's unfortunate, but also who cares? I'm not particularly fond of Metallica's the orange one. Like who plays them? Come on.
That's Riser. Metallica's white.
Metallica got the white one. It's not like they're blowing up Mars or something. Come on. Who cares?
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, these guys are adjacent.
The Mars Volta. Huh?
They're adjacent to the wider narrative here, guys. Like, who cares?
All right, fair enough. I personally thought that was a cool little bit.
Yeah, I'm just getting back to the whole campaign thing and how I'm reacting to it. I'm also thinking back to Vigilus. Vigilus started in the second year of 8th. Am I right about that?
No,
it wasn't in the first year.
It wasn't in the first year, no.
It wasn't in the first year, no.
Yeah, because I think So it was sort of like once the codexes were out of the way, they started that campaign. Like the vast majority of the codexes had been released, and then they started that campaign. Yeah. So I don't know. The timing's interesting. I'm also super curious to see what the anticipated, like what their cycle is going to be on this one.
I'm actually excited about the narrative. Like Death Guard's one of my favorite factions. Mechanicum was one of my favorite factions. Like some people talking about maybe it's like a precursor leading up to like launch of Dark Mechanicum or something like that. And I was like, Dark Mechanicum already exists, like it narratively, but like like they kind of bring them to the fore. And I was like, that's cool. Introduction of some new stuff, like we had the Gene Stealer Cult stuff like in 8th and things. And I think that this might be the year where we start to see new armies like produced and put on the tabletop. And I was like, that's cool. That'd be fun. Like, I'm genuinely excited for that. If the narrative's good, just unfortunately, it's right, but that guy's an idiot. But like, generally, it's probably going to be. It could be good. It could be good as long as Andy Clark doesn't do it. Like, but it could be good. I don't know, Pete. You're quite narrative led. You got any thoughts on that?
No, I think that's dead on. I mean, as long as they don't rehire CS Gatto to do anything, I'm into it. I'd love to see progression. I love to see new armies. Squats need to be returned to me, despite never playing them in my life. I needed them though, like real bad.
I feel like squats have a lot of cool things they could do with.
They could do a ton with squats. They could do a ton with like a lot of armies. Like they could bring in the Rude and do something crazy with them. I'd be into that. I'd be like, ooh, big boner time for me. Stuff like that. I'd love it. I want to see it. I just don't want new rules for armies that are supposed to get codexes like at the same time. Don't do that. Stop that part.
Stop.
Give me a narrative book that has like, here's some match play rules for this army that has never seen play. And I'll be like, yes, do it.
I want, those Christmas cards. I want to send a Christmas card to Games Workshop to the man responsible for the campaign books for 40k. Like, okay, gets delivered to him and it opens up, and it's just PD's voice in one of those cards where you open up and makes a noise. It goes, "Stop this!
Stop! Not like this."
No.
Like if they had rules for a bunch of codexes that they knew weren't coming out for 6 to 9 months or a year, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I see it. I'm okay with that. These are things that we're going to probably see some variation of in a codex a year from now, and I get it. Imperial Knights need some help. They're not seeing anything for a while. The problem is that they advertise 2 codexes that are obviously in that same time frame. So it's like, okay, well, what are you doing? What is this? But, maybe we're going to get this book and it will be, like Val said, it will be specialist attachments, or it will be not really matched play. It'll be some kind of weird new version of matched play that they'll call like potato play. And you'll be like, yeah, you can only play this in our new way of playing the game where you have to bring your own terrain. And they'll try to push that book on us, which would be cool. I mean, that way I don't have to buy it.
It's like systematically, I'm really curious. Like, I wonder how they conceptualize things, because I feel like the campaign book, they're going to want to try and have it straddle Crusade and Match Play, whereas it should just be a Crusade book. Like, I don't know why there's two. Like, why there's
they have a Crusade book coming as well that they've also announced.
It's not one book
that's,
either. Like,
that's the problem.
It could be one book.
That's the problem now. They've announced a Crusade book and a whatever kind of Match Play / whatever it is book. So
it's disconcerting.
Which is probably Match Play.
It's Match Play, but we're hoping not tournament play.
Yeah. That's the hope. Like, those independent tournament organizers will make sure that it won't reach it to it. Oh my God, what?
No, they won't. Banning stuff is a non-starter. It's always been like one of the most controversial topics. Like, we could have imagine all the national team that could have been saved by just like ignoring the fact that Space Marine supplements existed. Do you know how much better the game of 40K would have been in like the last year if the competitive scene was just like, all right, you can have the core codex and then no supplements.
None of these. I love what's been said in the chat, like talking about new armies and possibly new stuff on the tabletop. Val, like just to support your math, if they release some new Marine chapters / codexes, you'll actually push down their representation in the meta statistically. So
the solution to pollution is dilution.
Love it.
Have you been waiting on that? All right. Well, listen. I recognize it's late and we're on time.
The problem isn't the numerator; it's the denominator.
Okay. All right. That's on your own there. No one's backing you up, so just going to leave that one out there. It's been a pleasure talking to you both. You guys got any shout-outs before we go? I genuinely appreciate having you both here, by the way.
Shout out to the intern listening to this from Games Workshop. I hope the notes are, on point and don't paint us as anti-GW heretics, because I think we started coming on this to try and be the thoughtful conscience of the honest wargamer. And, I'd love to be able to write a second article someday. So, hopefully we can.
Just don't listen to this. You stop telling people you're on the show now on a Tuesday, Val. Is that...
No, that's Hal Veffelfinger. He's that's what we'll do. We'll just change around some letters and they'll never catch on.
Perfect. Pete, you got any shout outs?
Yeah, I want to shout out Will Smith for putting together that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion. It was heartwarming, just the right way. I really enjoyed it. Shout out to the guy down the street from me who left his hat outside. I tripped on it the other day.
Was it because it was frozen solid that you tripped on?
Yeah, it was frozen. Like, we've had like 3 blizzards up here in the last 2 weeks, so it was just right in there. So thanks to that guy. Super happy for him. Because he got a new Ford truck. That's what the hat was. Like, hey, congrats on your new truck. And here's
that's why he bought the truck. For a free hat, and then he just left it on the driveway.
Yeah, I drop $40,000 for cheap baseball caps all the time. That's about it. I don't know if I really have any other shout outs. Val, am I missing somebody? Shout out to Pablo for being a cool guy of Chapter Tactics.
He is a cool guy.
Art of War Down Under, we're going to be on it. I don't know when.
Oh, yeah, shout out to those guys. They're Australians, so like they live in a completely different day than the rest of us, which is just weird. And
And because all Warhammer playing members of from Australia are from the aristocracy, I believe Adam is a kangaroo meat tycoon. I think he's a purveyor of many fine kangaroo steaks.
Which tastes weirdly like human meat, I've always thought.
Yes.
Pete, I don't know if you knew this, but Will Smith is a Scientologist.
Oh yeah, I mean that's fine. I'm like, I will never. He can do what he wants with his life. He made a video where he cried a lot. I'm into that.
Yeah, that was him.
I love other people's tears.
Him and Jaden. Yeah, it was tough. It's tough to watch.
They've done a few of these now.
Yeah, he's really going for it. That's what the film After Earth is about. That's literally Scientology as a movie. He tried to recruit loads of the crew while he was on it, which is fascinating and weird.
I didn't know that about Will Smith. Makes a lot of sense. Wasn't that what the thing that finally put Travolta out of his misery? Wasn't that what was that first Battle for First Earth?
Oh yes, the terrible movie.
Battlefield Earth. Yeah, I think that one was like the love song for Scientology, I think too.
There's a lot of them. It's a big thing. Scientology is a deal.
It is. Also, Will Smith, if you are listening, do give us a shout out next time you're bigging us up, because obviously we've shouted you out now. So at this point,
for sure,
for sure.
You know, there's actually until he acknowledges someone who's I gotta learn his name. I don't even know his name. Who's the famous guy who's in The Witcher? Who's a Warhammer fan?
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill. Yeah.
We should just shout him out every single time until he like. It's like
Henry
when I go.
Thanks.
Henry Cavill, thanks for listening. Because like when I go to like live sporting events, I like to yell at a play. I just yell a player's name until they like give me a nod, and then I will stop yelling at them. So if we just shout out Henry Cavill every single time, maybe at some point he'll just be like,
"He's super handsome." I would be into that if we could do that.
Oh Rob, God, yeah, he's
Rob. Can we make that a thing?
I could try. There's a YouTuber already tried. He called him out on YouTube. Like,
yeah,
let's play a game together.
Into a game.
That was different. That was different. Like, we're legit.
Yeah, we're legit. We're legit. I mean, to be fair, you guys have got the clout. Like, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I was about to say, what is that? Like, I'm a pretty big deal now, and
yeah, Henry Cavill is into stats.
Yeah, like Henry Cavill and I were basically on the same page because of the Metawatch article. So like, just drop this stuff. Let's do it.
Let's do it. He's been on Twitter. Just
collab on the Warcom.
Yeah. Midwinter Minis, your girlfriend's favorite Warhammer player.
Is he? So
he just has such a nice like he just talks.
Can I just tell you? Can I tell you that my my
Warhammer so many
Warhammer
soft yellow lighting in the background? It's romantic. His YouTube videos they're sexy cool.
What, you don't like me having a big ice giant in the background? I like that.
No, the ice giant's sexy, but different kind of sexy. It's aggressive sexy, you know.
Yeah, it's to do with them living in Antarctica and farming Nazi gold, but that's a whole different conversation. Like it's happening though. If you were here yesterday, you'd get it. What was I going to say? Just to head out, there's an artist in England called Frank Carter. He used to be in a band called The Gallows, who were excellent, but he's now in Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, which are a great thrash band if you guys want some new music in your life. And he plays Warhammer. He actually goes to Scrivo shop sometimes and picks up some Warhammer models, which is super sweet. And big fan of his music. And he would be like my number one to play Warhammer against as a celebrity. I'd be like, yep, fuck yeah,
let's do it.
Fuck yeah.
Call him out.
Crush him. Yeah, I'll call him out. Frank Carter, you shit at Warhammer. I'll beat you any day.
Frank Carter, listen, like I'm a big deal. You're a big deal. Let's get some magic to happen here for Rob.
Yeah. Yes. War on the shore, guys.
War on the shore.
And I might play Rob tomorrow in some whatchamacallit?
TTS.
TTS. I just downloaded it for the first time last night.
Petey, let's play.
Rob. We could play.
No, I don't know how. I'm an old man.
I can teach you both. I'll teach you both.
On things. I was doing clicks.
I'll teach you both.
I downloaded a table and it was like, this isn't a good table. It even said it. And I was like, why did you make this table then? It's like this isn't good. Get a different one.
I have resisted the temptation to buy a Quest 2 for probably 5 days in a row because I have a fantasy of using the Quest 2 to play Tabletop Simulator in the most pathetic effort to play Warhammer in a pandemic ever.
Not long, though. Not long. Not long. Bill Gates puts a chip on our arm and then we'll be free. We'll be free to make the decisions they want for us. Listen, it's been a pleasure talking to you both. Thank you so much.
Dude, our goodbye's only been like 20 minutes.
I know. I'm just always conscious of Petey needing sleep. That's always where I'm at.
No, it's okay. It's okay, man. Like, Rob's just trying to cut us off because he knows we're part of the bourgeoisie now. So he's like, I got to get these effers off my show as soon as possible. No one wants to watch these guys.
We've got to type up our after-action report for Warcom anyway, so...
Yeah, Warcom.
Warcom.
It's been a pleasure. I don't know what else to say.
Always is.
If you guys want to check these guys out, you should, but you already know them.
This is pretty much where you check us out at this point. So all 65 of you, thanks for still.
Thank you, 92. A big shout out to my crew everywhere else in the world. The guys on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook watching. I see you.
Oh,
I see you
guys.
I can look into your homes now.
And soon, if I get an Oculus Quest 2, you'll be able to track my eye movements and know the shape of my iris.
Oh, is that a thing?
Well, yeah, because, you're in a helmet, and Facebook is literally looking into your eyeballs. Oculus is owned by Facebook.
I did not know that. That's fun. The Zuckerberg can right in my eyes and make my parents rate.
Fun.
That's fun. Yeah, anyway, let's go. You guys are great. Twitch chat, thanks.
Thanks,
Patreon,
guys. Thanks to Gall. If you have any shout-outs,
It's actually Grand Marshal Falk or whatever.
Yeah, it's not Gall. It's not. De Gaulle was the good guy. Yeah.
I thought he was Vichy. I thought that's what you were going for, but he's not. We were all wrong.
I was trying to Google it. It took me ages.
Guy Fawkes.
There was too many pictures of this guy with Hitler, so I was like, which is maybe why you guys didn't get player cards.
I think, it's quite possible.
I recommended them for the armies. I think it's just player cards got savagely shit on so hard that they're afraid to do it again.
Cowards. Just like to say, we did player cards a long time ago, but whatever. Doesn't matter.
Just saying. Okay, fine.
Okay.
I'm going to go hang out with my son now.
All right, you guys are great. Loads of love. Twitch out, everyone. Look after yourself, stay healthy, drink water. Bye.